Hey, ladies. Hello. I'm starting a minute early because I had planned this session, and we also have another session coming up in an hour. And the more I started writing my notes down, the more just had so much to talk about with regards to this topic that I'm like, okay, we're going to be cramming in a lot in this hour, or we're going to have to push back the Rich Girl Summer session that we're preparing to have today. But as you are coming in, like the video, please. Please like the video on your way in. If you are listening to the replay, please make sure you like the video. Please put in replay or replay gang into the comments if you're listening to the replay, just so that the YouTube algorithms can show favor on us. Also, ladies, if you are not on my email list, you want to be on my email list, bwmakingmoney.com, because on Sunday at 6 p.m., we are going to learn about behavioral economics, the psychology behind our best and worst financial decisions. It's a documentary that's out there. Because of copyright purposes, I like to do some things behind the wall. There is no pay with my wall. The only payment is for you to be on the email list. So if you're on the email list, I will send out the instructions for you to come to that session. I've already sent it out once this week, but I'll probably send it out again tomorrow and again on Sunday. So bwmakingmoney.com for you to be on my email list. The final thing that I have to say, final announcement, is that I am diving in a lot more into my business of helping people find money for their business endeavors. Mostly 90% of what I want to do is in regards to helping people raise money for real estate projects, which is in line with the job that I have now. But I'm expanding some of the product offerings that I have with regards to helping people get grants for affordable housing projects that they want to build and things like that. But the other little thing that I have, which I'm hoping will become a bigger thing, is that I am re releasing my grant database, which is going to be updated every week. We have hundreds of grants in there all over the country. That's probably going to be re released next week. I've been working steadily on it this week. Shh, when I was supposed to be doing stuff for my job, but that's okay. We won't tell anybody. So that is going to happen next week, where I'm going to re-release that as well. So, just give your girl a little exclamation point in the chat just to kind of cheer me on, because I have a lot going on. I'm definitely trying to, you know, reset myself. Y'all know I'm rebuilding and all of that. So, hey, Computer and Coin, good to see you this evening. Okay, so many of you have heard about ChatGPT. However, the next level is already about to be released. It's called Auto GPT. And this thing is so powerful that the people in the industry, like Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, who is the co-founder of Apple, another guy who is the co-founder of Pinterest, and a lot of the biggest and best researchers and implementers in AI have put out a petition for all of them to stop production on AI until they can come up with some standards and practices and protocols. And even one guy suggested that the US government get involved and create a governing body over AI, because the next level that they have is so powerful that it could end up being the next step to Terminator 2. So, QB, thank you so much for the exclamation points, not my gumdrops buttons. Thank you so much for the exclamation points. So, if you all want to geek out over some stuff, but here's the thing, this is actually very important for us to know as Black women, because there was a McKinsey report that came out several years ago, and I'm actually going to show it to you. It said that, Artificial intelligence is slated to disrupt 4.5 million jobs for Black Americans who have a 10% greater likelihood of automation based job loss than other workers. So, this was October 2019. I believe this auto GPT thing has the ability to double this number if you are not prepared, ladies, if you are not prepared. So, what I want to do today is introduce you to what AutoGPT is, talk to you about the pros and cons of it, talk to you a little bit about who I think is going to make big money from it, how you can make money from it as well. There's some like people are really concerned about this kind of technology getting into the wrong hands. So we're going to take a chance, take our time today, kind of go over with some experts. They did a podcast on this. We're going to talk, listen to them. I'm going to chime in with some of my thoughts as well with regards to Auto GPT. And then I have some words of wisdom for you with regards to the things that you can do to prepare yourself, because you don't just want to be on defense with regards to concern of the job loss that's going to happen. You want to be on offense. So, y'all know my four things I'm always telling you to know: your technical skills, your soft skills, your networks, and your resources. Your networks in this scenario are going to be very, very important. Your soft skills in this scenario, where we as Black women shine, going to be very, very important. So, buckle up. Hey, Denise, good to see you. I hope everybody hit the like button as well as you came in. Okay, so most of you know what ChatGPT is if you've been following this channel, if you're any kind of a person who's aware of what's happening in the business circles or the tech circles, right? So it came out, it like really launched in November 2020. In Ask it questions, it gives you responses. If you don't like the responses, then you're able to go deeper with it and ask it additional questions. And it's able to write blog posts for you and tweets, and it's able to summarize websites and things like that. All sorts of things Chat GPT is able to do. Well, ladies, buckle up, because now the next level is here. It's something called Auto GPT. And what Auto GPT is able to do is, let's say that you have like a big goal that you want to do, right? One of the things that they had as one of the case studies was they had Auto GPT, they had somebody type in, I want a meal plan for 7 days. I want a meal plan for 7 days with this. Um, no, no, no. That wasn't what they said. They said that pretending you're going out of town for a weekend or for a week, I want a an itinerary of where I'm able to go, what restaurants I should go to based on my food allergies, based on the fact that I have the kids, et cetera, et cetera. So you put that into Auto GPT, and the thing actually thinks for itself. It doesn't just give you what you ask for, it actually sets it up where it thinks like 3 steps ahead of what you're thinking. So it'll just not just say, "Here's a restaurant you can go to." It'll say, "Here's a restaurant you can go to, and here are the driving directions for getting there. And here's what you can eat based on what you've, said before that you like." Because remember, GPT has like memory of the things that you have requested from it before, right? So it's a system that ultimately is able to prompt itself. You're able to put in right now within ChatGPT, um, you can't really put in vague instructions, but with this Auto GPT, you are going to be able to put in vague instructions, and it's going to be able to prompt itself in order to um, get you the answer that you're looking for. Okay. Uh, You can give AutoGPT an overall objective, and it ultimately what it's going to do is fill in the holes for you. So, what I want to do is, oh, I've also been told that it can communicate across media, across different types of media that's out there, from videos to pictures to things like that. Um, and you are able to go from text to internet search to spreadsheet, etc., in order for it to do all sorts of things for you. It's very powerful. I'm probably not explaining it well. So I think what I want to do, instead of me trying to explain it, is let is let the is let the tech gurus do it. So these are 4 guys that are part of something called the All In Podcast, and these gentlemen, Jason Calacanis, Chamath P. I can't say his last name, David Sachs, and David Freiberg are these 4 gentlemen. They were involved in Facebook, PayPal. They were early investors in Uber, Robinhood, Trello, SpaceX, and Airbnb. So this is the cream of the crop. This is one of the podcasts that, like, the best of the best people go to in order to get information with regard to all the new technology that's coming out. They get to see all the new technology that's coming out before we get to see it, years before, because these are the earliest investors in these types of companies that are forthcoming. So with that, I'm going to show you several clips of what they're talking about with regards to this auto GPT. Hey, Coach K. All right, let us start with this first one, this first part. Oh, let me make sure that playback speed needs to be normal. Great.
In terms of popularity. But in any event, what you do is you give it an assignment. And what Auto GPT can do that's different is it can string together prompts. So if you go to ChatGPT, you prompt it one at a time. And what the human does is you get your answer and then you think of your next prompt, and then you kind of go from there and you end up in a long conversation that gets you to where you want to go. So the question is, what if the AI could basically prompt itself? Then you've got the basis for autonomy. And that's what this project is designed to do. So what you'll do is, what my friend did is he said, okay, you're an event planner AI. And what I would like you to do is plan a trip for me for a wine tasting in Healdsburg this weekend. And I want you to find like the best place I should go. And it's got to be kid friendly. Not everyone's going to drink. We're going to have kids there. And I'd like to be able to have other people there. And so I'd like you to plan this for me. And so what AutoGPT did is it broke that down into a task list. And every time it completed a task, it would add a new task to the bottom of that list. And so the output of this is that it searched a bunch of different wine tasting venues. It found a venue that had a bocce ball and lawn area for kids. It came up with a schedule. It created a budget. It created a checklist for an event planner. It did all these things. And my friend says he's actually going to book the venue this weekend and use it.
And it did all of those other things unprompted. So they had just asked for it to do like one basic thing, but instead it like over delivered on the prompts because it thinks ahead with regards to what are the other things you're going to need in order to be successful with this objective that you have given me. Let's continue.
So we're going beyond the ability just for a human to just prompt the AI. Where now the AI can take on complicated tasks. And again, it can recursively update its task list based on what it learns from its own previous prompt. So what you're seeing now is the basis for a personal digital assistant. This is really where it's all headed, is that you can just tell the AI to do something for you pretty complicated, and it will be able to do it. It will be able to create its own task list and get the job done, and quite complicated jobs. So that's why everyone's losing their shit over this.
Okay, so that's part one of this. It's AI so smart that it'll get to know you. It'll get to know how you prompt it, the things you're most likely to leave off, and it fills in the holes. It fills in the holes. So this is next level. This is T2, from the Terminator franchise, if you all are familiar with that, this is next level. So, hey, D'Ambrosia. Um, so I want to go to the next section of this because they're going to say a lot more about what this thing is capable of doing.
Consciousness. I'm not sure it's that, but I would make two comments. I think this is a really important week because it starts to show how fast the recursion is.
So the reason he's saying this is an important week is because this auto GPT thing basically dropped this week, or actually it dropped the latter part of last week, but all of the tech heads have been talking about it practically for the last couple of days. So
with AI. So in other technologies and in other breakthroughs, the recursive iterations took years, right? If you think about how long did we wait from iPhone 1 to iPhone 2, it was a year, right? We'd waited 2 years for the App Store. Everything was measured in years. Maybe things when they were really, really aggressive and really disruptive were measured in months. Except now, these incredibly innovative breakthroughs are being measured in days and weeks.
did you all hear that? So traditionally, what has happened is you have seen it take a year or two for the next iteration of technology to occur. With AI and with this generative AI, it's taking days or weeks or maybe a couple of months for the next thing to occur. So if you're not on it, if you're not lickety split on it, you could really get left behind pretty quickly. Hey, Alonzo, salute. This is what everyone initially expected Siri to be. So we're now seeing companies like Amazon start to bring in their own AI. So don't be surprised if Siri and Alexa and all of this stuff comes back. Scary, but I'm going to try it. You don't want to get left behind with this, Denise, is the problem. ChatGPT only dropped in November. Yes, ChatGPT only dropped in November, and now we are at the next iteration just a few months later. And the next iteration is much more powerful than ChatGPT. Hey, hello, good to see you. All right, let's keep listening to what they're saying here.
That's incredibly profound. And I think it has some really important implications to like the three big actors in this play, right? So it has, I think, huge implications to these companies. It's not clear to me how you start a company anymore. I don't understand why you would have a 40 or 50 person company to try to get to an MVP.
Okay, so these guys are venture capitalists. They're not like us, right? You know, these guys are venture capitalists, so they put in millions of dollars in order to start a company, which is traditionally how it had to be done. You may need 40 coders plus some salespeople, or whatever, um, or some other UX individuals, etc., in order to do an MVP. MVP stands for minimally viable product. So when Facebook, for example, was built, there were probably, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 developers in there working day and night in order to put Facebook together. You're not going to need that anymore. So again, these are tech guys, these are venture capitalists. They see stuff 6 months to 2 years before we do. And this is what they talked about this week.
I think you can do that with 3 or 4 people. And that has huge implications then to the second actor in this play, which are the investors and venture capitalists that typically fund this stuff, because all of our capital allocation models were always around writing 10 and 15 and $20 million checks and $100 million checks, then $500 million checks into these businesses that absorbed tons of money. But the reality is, like, you're looking at things like Midjourney and others that can scale to enormous size with very little capital, many of which can now be bootstrapped.
So the one good thing about this is that it can potentially level the playing field for Black businesses. Because before we were locked out of what? We were locked out of capital. We did not have access to the VC individuals. Now, our ability to make minimally viable products, MVPs, goes down significantly. There are other things we're going to need because that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. However, um, some of the barriers to starting businesses, even if you think about 20 years ago versus now, there were greater barriers to starting businesses than now. Now you could throw up a Facebook page for free, a YouTube page for free. You could start connecting with people on LinkedIn, things like that. You could reach out to people all over the world in order to start your business, start getting customers. You can go to, the freelance sites, Upwork, Fiverr, and start bidding on jobs, et cetera, et cetera. This is the next iteration of that. D'Ambrosia is saying, I love AI. Denise is saying, my laptop did a software update last night. When I turned it on this morning, it showed me some of the new features, one of which is AI. Not surprised, especially if you have Microsoft as your operating system.
So it takes really, really small amounts of money. And so I think that's a huge implication. So for me personally, I am looking at company formation being done in a totally different way. Yep. And our capital allocation model is totally wrong size. Look, Fund 4 for me was $1 billion. Does that make sense?
This guy raised $1 billion fund. Let that sink in. And now he's asking, does that make sense? Do I need to raise so much money?
Nope. For the next 3 or 4 years? No, the right number may actually be $50 million invested over the next 4 years. I think the VC job is changing. Sure. I think company startups are changing. I want to remind you guys of one quick thing as a tangent. I had this meeting with Andre Karpathy. I talked about this on the pod where I challenged him. I said, listen, the real goal should be to go and disrupt existing businesses using these tools.
Did you hear that, ladies? Okay, that was a gem right there that he just shared. So I want you to pay attention to what he just said. He said the real goal is to disrupt current companies with this technology. The real goal is to disrupt current companies with this technology. Instead of running away from this technology, do you work in the type of business? Do you have the type of a department that can use this auto GPT iteration? Remember, I'm always telling you to get in front of your boss's boss. This is a way for you to set yourself apart because nobody really knows anything, right? Nobody really knows anything. So you can actually set yourself apart by just doing some basic studying with regards to auto GPT, what's going to be happening, and how you can strategize its use within your corporate job, or maybe you want a side hustle. Maybe you want to help some other small businesses use this as well. Hey, Jay Antoinette. I just used ChatGPT to write my cover letter. It did a great job. We'll be using it more. So this is the next level. This is beyond ChatGPT. This is like the next level up. It's called Auto GPT, and it's able to do so much more than ChatGPT. All right, let's keep listening.
Cutting out all the sales and marketing, right? And just delivering something. And I use the example of Stripe. Disrupting Stripe by going to market with an equivalent product with 1/10 the number of employees at 1/10 the cost.
So one of the things he's saying here is that startups don't need as many employees. This is where the jobs are going to be taken. This is where the jobs are going to be taken because he's basically saying you could build a company like Stripe. For those of you who don't know what Stripe is a multi-billion-dollar company that processes Visa and MasterCard for people who have online courses, e-commerce sites, all sorts of anytime you want to use your Visa or MasterCard, a lot of people use Stripe. And what this man is saying is you can build an equivalent to Stripe with 1/10 of the employees. So you could take 10% of the employees and build $1 billion plus business. I hope you ladies are understanding what's happening here. When the manosphere told us we need to be ready to compete, they're right, but not in the way that they're thinking. Like if you are not ready to compete in in this global economy, you're going to get left behind. I've been looking into what businesses I can start just using AI. Yeah, there are tons of them. And payroll faster Stripe is all over. Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy, but like if you don't get on board of this, like he even said sales, which I'm a salesperson. Now, I don't think sales is going to be completely taken away by AI, but there are going to be salespeople that are going to be let go of because um, certain sales customer service things that need to be done can be done by the AI. So I have to look as a salesperson at myself and say, okay, what can't the AI do, or how can I complement the AI and add more that the AI cannot do? Right? You're saying I'm scared, LOL, I'm not good at competing. I'm a very tired person. I will tell you, for the last couple of years, I've been tired. I've been saying that on this channel. I was tired of writing business plans, things like that. So I get it. We're going to talk about Rich Girl Summer. Figure out a way for you to. It took me 3 years to get untired. I'm finally there, right? But don't give up because um, if you do, then you're going to get left behind. So, whatever it takes for you to get out of that and to kind of refocus. And oftentimes people say, if you just have a big enough dream and have a bigger dream, for me, I had to let a lot of stuff go. Which is why, like on this channel, I'm not worried about how I'm going to monetize, even though I think all of my 1,100 subscribers officially as of earlier today. If YouTube sends me a $3 check, I don't care. But like, I'm not using YouTube in order to try to pay bills or anything like that, which gives me a lot of like flexibility with regards to the information I'm able to bring you here. But a lot there's just so much that's going to be happening. That's all I'm going to say. And you have to be prepared. You're going to have to be prepared, be ready. So I'm glad you joined us today. I see you all have more comments here. Hold on, let me see what you all are saying. AI will make you more competitive with less energy if you use it well. Yeah, that is very true. I don't know if my new business will need AI. How will I know if it's useful for it? You'll probably have to talk to some people about it and see. There are repetitive tasks that AI can do for you. There are also, with this auto GPT thing, there are people putting together some really great APIs. So you'll probably want to talk to several people and figure out. Don't just talk to one person because they may try to sell you something, but talk to people who don't really need your money and ask them and see. That's what Dude just said. I won't have to pay so many people for tasks when starting up. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. All right.
What's incredible is that this auto GPT is the answer to that exact problem. Why? Because now, if you are a young industrious entrepreneur, if you look at any bloated organization that's building enterprise class software, you can string together a bunch of agents that will auto construct everything you need to build a much, much cheaper product that then you can deploy for other agents to consume.
So an agent is an AI. It's like it's, oh my goodness, I knew what the term meant. It's like different AI silos that you have, that this auto GPT is able to have these silos talk to each other. Um, that was how I read the explanation with regards to agents. So AI agents are like, each agent is in different silos, and now they're able to talk to each other, share information, and spit out different output based on what it is you have asked the AI to do. So let's go back just a second here.
Industrious entrepreneur, if you look at any bloated organization that's building enterprise class software, you can string together a bunch of agents that will auto construct everything you need to build a much, much cheaper product that then you can deploy for other agents to consume. So you don't even need a sales team anymore. This is what I mean by this crazy recursion that's possible.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how this actually affects like all of these,
It's a
singular product companies.
Yeah. I mean, it's a continuation.
Okay, so yeah, look, they're saying they don't need salespeople anymore. I'm a salesperson, y'all know I'm trying to get to my 300,000 a year. Like it's been tough this year, I'll admit, but your girl is kind of pulling it out of the mud, right? But yeah, what you were saying here, oh, somebody had mentioned it here. Yes. I won't have to pay so many people to start up businesses, growing businesses. These big businesses can now scale down. If you are an ineffective worker, you will get cut, you know. So just prepare for it. He said the thing made up a budget. Oh, I don't know. At the end, though, if we don't have jobs, we can buy what they're selling. LOL. Look, this is why at first I thought that the whole universal basic income thing was crazy. I'm starting to think they may bring in UBI. I'm starting to think it. Um, this channel's helped motivate me, and I'm still in my 20s. Yay! I'm so glad you're motivated. Oh, you're subscribed to All In? Yeah, I love them. I'm subscribed as well. Been watching them for over a year. They always up on technology, business, and investing. Yep. Between them and My First Million, that's where I get a lot of my business information from. They put a lot of content. So just those two. I can't listen to All In all the time just because they have so much stuff. And then Jason, this guy on the screen here, also has This Week in Startups. That's a really good podcast as well. If you want to be up on technology and what the latest startups are doing, that's really great. But over the past 3 months, especially, been listening to a lot more real estate stuff just because that's my job. So you can only listen to so much. But I knew about this auto GPT thing a few months ago. And no. Actually, it was a couple of months ago. I had heard a story about it and I kind of put it in the recesses of my mind. And then when everybody in the tech space started talking about it this week, I'm like, okay, I got to do a special session here, play hooky from work in order to bring this information to you ladies. So let's keep going here because they say this guy tells a really interesting story here. And this is the impact of what we're about to see. So listen up, ladies. This has to do with jobs, especially if you're thinking about getting into tech jobs, especially if you're thinking about getting into coding, okay? But any kind of tech job. So just listen to this.
But if you remember the hit game on your iPhone, Flappy Birds, was a phenomenon. Hundreds of millions of people played this game over some period of time. Somebody made it by talking to ChatGPT-4 and Midjourney in an hour. So
they did it in an hour, something that would have taken coders months to do just a few years ago. They rebuilt this game in an hour through ChatGPT and Midjourney. But it gets, I don't want to say it gets worse, but it does get worse. Listen to this.
Perfect example. And listen, it's a game, so it's something silly. But I was talking to two developers this weekend, and one of them was an okay developer, and the other one was an actual 10x developer who's built, very significant companies. And they were coding together last week. And because of how fast ChatGPT and other services were writing code for them, he looked over at her and said, you're basically a 10x developer now. My superpower is gone.
Whew. The senior developer looked at what the junior developer did and said, because of ChatGPT, that junior developer created something that the senior developer could have done. And now the senior developer is saying that my superpower is gone. This is serious, ladies. This is serious, right? Because now you have people, depending on what age you are, you could think it's really good, or you could think, oh my goodness, What am I going to do? How am I going to compete? Right? I'm thinking Selfish Love is probably scurrying right now to do her taxes, but I'm even thinking how ChatGPT is and Auto GPT ultimately is going to be able to take the most complex tax scenarios, read through the IRS tax code, and put together a tax return that maximizes, um, the lowering of the taxes or helps people get tax credits that they wouldn't have been able to find or things like that. This thing is going to be able to do some very powerful things. So instead of you having to have the superpower of knowing all of the IRS tax code, and being the genius for that, now you could have someone who is lower level come in, use the software, and be just as good as the master tax person who has been working on taxes for the past 25 years. And whatever industry you're in, you need to think about it within that industry. How are people going to be able to use this technology in order to surpass you, even though you may have more skills and more experience than they do? And you need to prepare for that. So let's read some more of what you all are saying here. You're saying I'm dropping real time gems. Thank you so much. I'm starting to think UBI is coming as well because a lot of low wage and creative jobs are going to be removed. Yep, absolutely. I've been hearing about that talk, but I honestly think they're just going to make more of us go into labor until robots replace us. It's possible. I used to read a magazine that always asked the question, what to do with 100, 500, or $1,000 right now might be a good question to ask. Yeah. Yeah, they did it in an hour, built the whole game in an hour. So, um, yeah, you're going to need to pivot to compete. Yeah. Uncle Sam bit my butt this tax year. That would be great. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if someone isn't working on it right now if it's not already released. I'm even thinking about doing something in the business plan grant writing space with this AI. I'm honestly like, okay, maybe I need to hook up with some sort of a, because one of the things that's happening right now with this auto GPT is that you have to be a coder in order to access it and use it. Lay people cannot use it yet. But if you could hook up with the coder and give either a piece of equity away or give them some money, if you have a really great idea, now is the time to kind of stake your claim with the APIs, develop something and start making some money from it. You're saying you're looking forward to these types of innovations. I just think I'm going to open multiple businesses at once. I don't think that's necessary. You can open just one business. So many people get wealthy by one small investment they didn't even pay attention to. Okay, may want to pop 100 here or there monthly. All right. Um, it's only serious because how we're set up as society. I honestly don't mind the slow life if it means spending more time developing unique skills. I can agree with that. Right now, ChatGPT doesn't answer financial questions well. I believe with AutoGPT that it probably will. I believe that it will because you're not the only person saying that. I've also heard Diamond Dave say that it's not answering financial questions well. It would not surprise me if the Wall Street people are already starting to work on that. They probably have already been working on that. They probably actually have some stuff that they just haven't released yet for it. Okay, let's go to 1937 here. And this was just a really good broadcast that they had. So I'm just kind of skipping to the really good parts.
Anymore. Chamath, when we look at this, it's kind of a pattern of augmentation, as we've been talking about here. We're augmenting human intelligence, then replacing this replication or this automation, I guess might be a nice way to say it. So it's augmentation, then automation, and then perhaps deprecation. Where do you sit on this? It seems like Sachs feels it's going to take years. Freeberg thinks, hey, maybe startups and content are over. Where do you sit on this augmentation, automation, deprecation journey we're on?
I think that humans have judgment, and I think it's going to take decades for agents to replace good judgment. And I think that's where.
So again, agents are like the AI. It's the different AI that's out there. So he's saying that the one thing that we have supposedly is good judgment. But then he's going to contradict himself when he says that we need government regulation, because he's the main one that's saying we need government regulation over this AI in this podcast. But let's keep listening.
We have some defensible ground, and I'm going to say something controversial. I don't think developers anymore have good judgment. Developers get to the answer or they don't get to the answer. And that's what agents have done, because the 10x engineer had better judgment than the 1x engineer. But by making everybody a 10x engineer, you're taking judgment away. You're taking code paths that are now obvious and making it available to everybody. It's effectively like what you did in chess. An AI created a solver, so everybody understood the most efficient path in every single spot to do the most EV positive thing, the most expected value positive thing. Coding is very similar that way. You can reduce it and view it very, very reductively. So there is no differentiation in code. And so I think Freeberg is right. So for example, let's say you're going to start a company today. Why do you even care what database you use? Why do you even care which cloud you're built on? To Freeberg's point, why do any of these things matter? They don't matter. They were decisions that used to matter when people had a job to do and you paid them for their judgment. Oh, well, we think GCP is better for this specific workload. And we think that this database architecture is better for that specific workload. And we're going to run this on AWS, but that on Azure. And do you think an agent cares? If you tell an agent, find me the cheapest way to execute this thing, and if it ever gets not, cheaper to go someplace else, do that for me as well. And, ETL all the data and put it in the other thing. And I don't really care.
In other words, maximize my profit as a big corporation. Give me the greatest efficiency. I don't care who gets laid off. I don't care what line item needs to go. Maximize my efficiency. Make me as wildly profitable as possible. So when he's talking about the fact that the AI does not care, these are the things that he's referring to. It doesn't have judgment. It just does its task. It is not emotional about it. Also within the logic, there's no humanity attached to it. So let's keep listening.
So you're saying it will swap out Stripe for Adyen or
it doesn't
Node for Amazon Web Services. It's going to be ruthless.
It's going to be ruthless. And I think that the point of and that's the exact perfect word, Jason. AI is ruthless because it's emotionless. It was not taken to a steak dinner. It was not brought to a basketball game. It was not sold into a CEO. It's an agent that looked at a bunch of API endpoints, figured out how to write code to it to get done the job at hand that was tasked to it within a budget, right? The other thing that's important is these agents execute within budgets. So another good example was, and this is a much simpler one, but a guy said, I would like 7 days worth of meals. Here are my constraints from a dietary perspective. Here are also my budgetary constraints. And then what this agent did was figured out how to go and use the Instacart plugin at the time, and then these other things, and execute within the budget. How is that different when you're a person that raises $500,000 and says, I need a full stack solution that does X, Y, and Z for $200,000? It's the exact same problem. So I think it's just a matter of time until we start to cannibalize these extremely expensive, ossified large organizations that have relied on a very complicated go-to-market and sales and marketing motion. I don't think you need it anymore in a world of agents and auto GPTs. And I think that to me is quite interesting because A, it creates an obvious set of public company shorts.
All right, ladies. Actually, I'm going to stop this here. I'm going to bring it back a little bit because, and this is not financial advice. Do I have my not financial advice? Do I have my fair use up here? Let me put my not financial advice up here. I want you to listen to this again. I'm going to bring this back just a little bit for you. He says on here that the big companies are going to need to get smaller, and this is a good time to be shorting big companies. Not financial advice, not financial advice. But I want you to hear this as a guy who is a VC talking about what's happening in the marketplace.
Same problem. So I think it's just a matter of time until we start to cannibalize these extremely expensive, ossified large organizations that have relied on a very complicated go-to-market and sales and marketing motion. I don't think you need it anymore in a world of agents and auto GPTs. And I think that to me is quite interesting because A, it creates an obvious set of public company shorts.
He said here it creates an obvious set of public companies that should be shorted. Shout out to Nancy Pelosi and them. Let's keep going. Y'all know I'm messing with you with regards to that, but let's keep going.
And then B, you actually want to arm the rebels. And arming the rebels, to use the Toby Lutke analogy here, would mean to seed hundreds of one-person teams, hundreds, and just say, go and build this entire stack all over again using a bunch of agents.
Yeah,
and I think recursively, you'll get to that answer in less than a year.
Interestingly.
Okay, so he said a lot there, ladies. Let me come back here to my fair use sign here. Look, he said a lot there. You talking about what they're doing in the stock market? These guys, again, not financial advice. I just thought it was like I heard it because he said it, but I felt he glossed over it, right? But we heard it and we played it again for you. He talked about the fact that people, millionaires and billionaires, are going to be able to hire one person and say, go and rebuild that company as a single person organization. The competition is about to be swift here. It's about to be big. So again, ladies, I'm always telling you about the 4 things you need. You need your technical skills. And when I say technical skills, I don't just mean technology, especially in this case. I mean understanding business, entrepreneurship, how businesses work, the technical skills, because entrepreneurship is a skill. Sales is a skill. Understanding how to read the trends in the charts and knowing what's going to be happening over the next 3 to 5 years and how you can participate in it. That is a skill. That is a technical skill. Number 2, having your soft skills, which are going to be very important. Because that is what the AI cannot do. And I have some things listed for you. Number 3 is your connections, your networks. How do you think that one person that's going to be given $500,000 to rebuild something is going to actually be chosen for that? It's because they're going to know the right people. And then number 4, having your resources, having your financial literacy and your resources together. These are the things that are going to be needed. So I see AAE is in here dropping a lot. So let me see here. What you all are saying. These public companies to be shorted is because their resources and technology will not be proprietary. It can be recreated in an hour, as we saw earlier today or earlier in the session. You need less tech people to yield the same output. Exactly. Chamath does drop gems from time to time. These 4 guys are super smart. These are the guys from PayPal and Facebook, early investors in Uber, Robinhood, Trello, SpaceX, Airbnb. Everybody comes to one, if not all of them, in order to get their businesses funded. They get to see everything that's out there. So absolutely. The guy who is speaking, Chamath from Social Capital, he has 5 billion in assets. Hmm. He does. Ruthless, cannibalizing, emotionless, kind of violent terms, which is why Chamath also wants to have government regulation over AI. And we're going to talk about that as well. Chamath is correct. What he is saying is the technical requirements for a person resource has been drastically reduced. Cloud has already accomplished this, but AI has taken this full force. Yep, absolutely. Um, Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're going to have a double live today. So as soon as we're done with this one, then we're going to talk about Rich Girl Summer. But I had to come and talk about this because for the past couple of days, I've just seen it continuously in my feed. And I've also been looking at the articles and things like that. And I didn't want to wait till next week. I kind of want to do a lot more current events with you ladies as things are dropping, as long as it doesn't interrupt my work, which it did today, but that's all right, you know. I closed the deal today at work, so I'm good. What I mean is there will be a lot of good, but people do harm too. Yes. And now those who do harm can deal more. This is what they're talking about with regards to the regulation. So I'm going to actually go into that. But you're right, Centria. I'm not bothered by the tool like fire depends on who's using it. Yep, absolutely. At the same time, we won't have to spend mental energy on things and hopefully focus on other things. Potentially. Oh, he did advise SBF? Oh my gosh. To create corporate governance for FTX. Oh, well, that was smart. Bankman literally told Chamath to F off. Clearly, Chamath was right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people knew what was happening over there early on. Okay, so I have a couple of more things to show you with regards to this video. So let's keep listening. Let's go to 2420. All right.
This weekend. Runway is the name of this company I interviewed. And what's fascinating about this is he told me on Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, the award-winning film, they had 7 visual effects people on it, and they were using his software. The late night shows like Colbert and stuff like that are using it.
So this software that they were using, usually when they have visual effects people, there could be, 50, 60 people doing visual effects on a big budget movie. And this one only had 7. And I've actually heard of this software before through My First Million. They actually talked about the software. It is drastically reducing the numbers of visual effects people that need to be on a movie set. So let's keep listening.
They are ruthless in terms of creating crazy visual effects now and you can do text prompt to get video output. And it is quite reasonable what's coming out of it, but you can also train it on existing data sets. So they're going to be able to take something, Sachs, like The Simpsons or South Park or Star Wars or Marvel, take the entire corpus of the comic books and the movies and the TV shows, and then have people type in, have Iron Man do this, have Luke Skywalker do that, and it's going to output stuff. And I said, hey, when would this reach the level that the Mandalorian TV show is? And he said within 2 years. Now,
so basically, they're thinking that within 2 years, they will be able to recreate Star Wars current type of Disney visual effects in 2 years. And you'll be able to type it out. I wanted to do this, and the visuals will just happen. So right now you're able to type it out in Midjourney and you get a picture. Over the next couple of years, you will be able to basically type out a movie that you want to see with current characters that are out there and actually like have the characters doing the things that you want them to do. The interesting thing that will come out is copyright law with regards to these things. Could I actually take a Disney character, the Little Mermaid, for example, and have Ariel do different things and make money from her? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the law actually starts catching up with these things. But yeah, Some animators are going to be out of business. Others are going to have to, what this guy is going to say here is that they're going to have to move from an animation point of view to a director point of view. So let's keep listening.
He's talking his own book, but it's quite possible that all these visual effects people from Industrial Light and Magic on down are going to be replaced with directors, Sachs, who are currently using this technology to do, what do they call the images like that go with the script?
Storyboards.
Storyboards, thank you. They're doing storyboards in this right now.
Right.
The difference between the storyboard, Sachs, and the output is closing in the next 30 months, I would say.
Right.
I mean, maybe you could speak to a little bit about the pace here, because that is the perfect ruthless example of ruthless AI. I mean, you could have the entire team at Industrial Light and Magic or Pixar be unnecessary this decade.
Well, I mean,
Whew. So he used the animation example for that, but it's not just going to be animation, ladies. This is going to affect every single industry. So what I want you to do is I'm going to talk to you about some of the things I think you should do, and then we're just going to go over with this because there's so much I have to tell you with regards to this. We're going to also look at why the people who are creating this AI are now saying, hey, we need to do a 6-month ban on working on this until we can get some guardrails up. So I want to talk about that as well. But in the meantime, I want you to think about a couple of things. Number one is putting some sort of a Google alert on your email, so that way you can know what's happening within AI in your industry, whatever industry you're in, whether you're in accounting, whether you're in real estate like I am, etc. Being in the know with regards to what's being created, what people are talking about, who the top people are in your industry is going to be very, very important in order to stay ahead of what's happening. Number two, increase your soft skills. Increase your soft skills. The one thing that AI cannot do is the initial input, the initial creativity. If you are able to be really strong with that, with thinking about overall, what does the organization need to do? What does my job need to do in order to stay competitive? Now that I know that my company, my 1,000-person company can be replaced by one person in a basement who is given access to these tools, your job may be to talk to your employers about, hey, let me be a part of this. I'm super interested in this. How can we use these AI tools to stay competitive? Okay. So increasing your soft skills as well, the inputted prompts, your empathy, your emotional intelligence. We as Black women tend to have that. So not as worried about that. If only a team of 7 people are required to do a movie, make damn sure you're one of the 7. If you only need 7 people in order to grow a multi-billion-dollar company, make sure you are one of the 7. How do you do that? Networking. I cannot say it enough. Join 2 to 3 organizations that have, people who could employ you, and join a a committee. Be seen, do something, even if it's just something that takes you an hour a week to do. You have got to know people. If you are stuck in your house, in your apartment, in your bedroom, you're going to get rolled over, ladies, by this technology. People are going to have to know who you are. Okay? And I've already talked to you about asking your company if you can work on the AI, present a report to upper management, et cetera, about here's what's happening with AI and here's how we can get ahead of it. You don't have to know everything. You can even agree to bring somebody in that the company agrees to even pay for consulting for a couple of hours, suggest, hey, you know what, I'll find the best person within AI and accounting to come in and brief us on what's happening here. I'll write all the notes. I'll put together the game plan for us so that one person sitting in the sitting in their basement doesn't come and take half of our clients, right? Okay, so that's what you want to do. Okay, so I have something else really good for you here, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm just going to take my time. I know we're supposed to do something at 5:15, but this is way too good. Okay, this guy is a billionaire as well. He is the head of a company called HubSpot, and this is from My First Million, one of my other favorite podcasts. I want you to listen to this thing called vector embeddings. He explains it really, really well. He has a great use case for it. And this is also the next level of AI as well, to the point where he spent 8 figures on, I think it's chat.com is the website that he bought, chat.com. He spent 8 figures just to get that domain name. Right. So I want you all to pay attention to this because this is next level stuff, but it's still, he explains it in an easy way for us to understand. Make sure that it is regular speed. Okay.
And before I can talk about vector embeddings, I'm going to explain to you how they work. 'Cause I had to go through this with my 12-year-old because he was curious. All right. So we're going to do a super geeky thing. Now I want you to imagine a line, like you're in a geometry class. And you could put a point on that line that says, oh, that's like 3 units from the origin, right? It's like, oh, yeah, point A is 3 units from the origin, and point B, let's say, is 7 units from the origin. So one thing we know for sure is that we can calculate the distance between those 2 points, right? In that particular case, it's 4. If you move to 2 dimensions, now you have 2 numbers that describe every point. So you can say, oh, point A is here at these dimensions, point B is over here with those dimensions. And we can, physically, you could probably measure with a ruler, but there are mathematical calculations based on those numbers to calculate the distance. That's intuitive, right? You don't need to know fancy geometry. It's like, oh, there's a finite distance in 2-dimensional space where we can calculate the distance. Okay, awesome. 3-dimensional space, exact same thing. Just 3 numbers to describe every possible physical point in 3-dimensional space. Now, here's where it starts to get a little more interesting. That just happens to be our experience, so we limit ourselves to 3 dimensions. Imagine in an abstract world, there are 1,000 different dimensions. Okay, so abstractly, that means there's 1,000 numbers that describe any particular point in this 1,000 dimension space. Okay.
I know this sounds boring, but he's about to get to the point, and this is so good. This is so juicy. This is where the technology is headed. So I know it's boring, but it's only a couple of additional minutes. Just keep listening to him and what he's saying.
Okay. Now, file that thought away that says we can have an arbitrary number of dimensions in this abstract world. Okay, great. Now imagine every paragraph, blog post, anything you write, you can reduce down to a point in this 1,000 dimension space. It's like I'm going to capture the meaning of Sam's last blog post or Sean's last tweet, and I'm going to reduce it down to what's called a vector, which is basically a set of, let's say, 1,000 different numbers that says this thing, if you plotted it, that point falls right here. And then you can plot something else. It's like, oh, that falls over here. And just like in 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional space, you can calculate the distance between those things. And this is not keyword matching. This is what's known as semantic distance.
So what he's saying here is we're able to take a tweet that somebody wrote, a blog, LinkedIn blog article that somebody wrote, and basically, instead of just using keywords, which is traditionally how we matched people together, we can start matching their intent using AI. This is very powerful stuff, ladies. So he's going to also give an example here that I think will kind of summarize it for you. So let's keep listening.
Related is Sean's tweet to Sam's blog post, meaning-wise. Okay, so now if you take that, it's like, okay, well, that means you can take any concept and reduce it down to a vector. That means you can measure the distance between vectors, and you can find out how related two things are, even though they use completely different words. That's vector embedding. And the reason I'm telling you this is one of the biggest opportunities in AI right now is to do what Pandora did. It's, okay, is there an industry where right now we're doing really stupid keyword-based matching somehow? It's very, very crude. If I can take that same data set and convert it to vector embeddings and allow people to find things in a different way than they've ever been able to do before. So it's like Google search,
Right.
super, super smart, not just keyword-based, but for everything else. Right?
What's a real life example of this?
So I'm going to take it to you, Sam. So you have Hampton now. You're going to build up these profiles, very, very rich profiles of rich in terms of density, information density of members that are part of your community. Now, imagine as part of that process, you're going to have some data and they're going to opt in and they're going to say, oh, here's a story of how I started my business. Here's a story of my biggest struggle right now. And sometimes people are going to say, oh, my struggle is growth. Sometimes they're going to say, oh, my struggle is it's really hard being an entrepreneur and it has a really negative impact on my relationship and my family. Right? And they can talk about lots of different things. That's not going to show up in a profile. It's not. Now, imagine if you took that content that they opted in and created vector embeddings of every member that you have. And then you can say, you know what? I want to find someone not that's in my industry or a company my size or happens to be in my geography. I want to find someone that's dealing with these kind of founder therapy level issues. Who are those people? Let's find the semantic distance between those vector embeddings across the 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people that are in Hampton someday. That's $1 billion idea. And that
These people are talking $1 billion ideas. $1 billion ideas, ladies. You saying oh crap, oh crap, yeah. Becoming Bossy is in the building as well. Hello, hello. This is some good stuff. I'm working too hard right now at work listening to this. Look, yeah. Yeah. So the question is, how do we get ahead of these things? How do we actually make ourselves more valuable within the companies that we work for, or start our own, et cetera, et cetera? There's no BS in tech. You have to work and provide solutions. If you're a woman and you get by in the workplace causing nonsense and gossiping, causing chaos, you will be fired. You will be. People don't have to take that crap anymore. People don't have to take it anymore. They can build $1 billion company with 7 people. They don't need you. Hey, Shar, asking everybody to sign up for bwmakingmoney@gmail.com. Well, actually, it's bwmakingmoney.com to sign up for the email list, bwmakingmoney.com. We're having our own inner circle discussion on Sunday with regards to the psychology behind our best and worst financial decisions. It's based on a documentary that we are going to watch. So if y'all want to be invited to that, you want to be on our email list, bwmakingmoney.com. Yeah, so I'd like to know how far this goes. Alex Hormozy did a video on AI and how it will affect dating. This guy, what he is talking about here, one of the first examples I thought about actually was dating or connecting with people, not based on keywords, but based on like sentiments that they have versus sentiments that I have. And now, not only are you able to connect with them, not only are you able to find people within an internal community that that opts into it, you're able to scour the internet, scour everybody's social media. That's why, ladies, I always tell you, be careful what you're putting on your social media profiles. You know, if Elon Musk gets your data, he'll be able to match you up with people. You know, this whole thing is about to change everything. It's about to change everything. Yeah, we're building the matrix. And Black women will be both the architect and the oracle. We may end up being a lot more than that as well. So yeah. Hit the like button. Hey, Mocha Mommy's in the building. Okay, Cupid was heading towards this. Well, now they have the tools that they need. Now they have the tools that they need. It sounds overly thinking, but I hope we don't end up in a stagnation loop where AI feeds us similar things every 40 to 50 years. It's possible. It's possible. So I wanted to show you that with regards to the vector embeddings, because I thought that was cool. So you all know the 3 podcasts I like to listen to, probably the 2 and then like the third if I have time, is the All In podcast. That was the first set of guys that we saw in My First Million. And with those two podcasts, it kind of keeps me up to date with what's happening in the business world. My First Million is great with telling me what people are doing today. All In really talks about like what people are doing today as well as the next few years, as well as Jason Calacanis has his own This Week in Startups, which again tells you what new technology is coming. So if you want to be scared yellow, buckle up, because now we're going to talk about the really scary part of this whole thing. It is called Chaos GPT. That is what they are naming this thing, Chaos GPT. So I want you to think about bad actors who are technically inclined. Because right now, remember, I told you that the technology that is available with regards to Auto GPT, which is like the next super level of this thing, you have to be a developer in order to use it. It's not ready yet for just regular people to use. But you have some technically inclined people out there who do not have concern for the law. They don't have concern for the law, and they could cause massive issues in the world. So much that I'm going to share my screen with you here. So much that there is a petition that was signed by Elon Musk. Let me get all the names here. Steve Wozniak, who is the co-founder of Apple, Evan Sharp, the co-founder of Pinterest, researchers at DeepMind. These are the people that research and build safe AI systems, and so many additional people to pause giant AI experiments for the next 6 months. They say here, therefore, we call on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. This pause should be public and verifiable and include all key factors. If such a pause cannot be enacted quickly, governments should step in and institute a moratorium. So when I first read this, I thought they're trying to figure out how to make more money from this thing before everybody else can. Until they started telling me some of the use cases as to how this chaos GPT can cause real havoc. And now I'm on board and probably going to sign this petition myself. Let's keep reading here. AI research and development should be refocused on making today's powerful, state-of-the-art systems more accurate, safe, interpretable, transparent, robust, aligned, trustworthy, and loyal. AI developers must work with policymakers to dramatically accelerate development of robust AI governance systems. They want governance systems within AI, because if this technology gets in the wrong hands, it can wreak a lot of havoc. And I'm going to tell you a couple of the case studies that that were presented to me, and a couple that I came up with that are concentrated within the Black community. These should, at a minimum, include new and capable regulatory authorities dedicated to AI, oversight and tracking of highly capable AI systems, and large pools of computational capability, provenance and watermarking systems to help distinguish real from synthetic, and to track model leaks, a robust auditing and certification ecosystem, liability, this is important, liability for AI caused harm, robust public funding for technical AI safety research, and well-resourced institutions for coping with the dramatic economic and political disruptions, especially to democracy, that AI will cause. So let's talk about why people want this to be stopped right now beyond GPT-4, why they want this Auto GPT and all of that to be, hey, let's take 6-month pause with this thing. Imagine a Buffalo shooter. We know what happened in Buffalo with our elders at the grocery store, right? People are concerned because remember, this auto GPT thing, basically you could put in minimum prompts and it can take things to its logical extreme, right? It's emotionless. It takes things to its logical extreme. So imagine a buffalo shooter had this type of technology and it said, how can I maximize my outcome from this thing I'm planning to do? And the GPT will lay out an entire game plan to maximize the outcome. And I can't use the term that I want to use, but I hope you all know what I'm trying to say. This is what the concern is. If these things get into the wrong hands, if this technology gets into the wrong hands, right? Another thing that I saw that Chamath brought up was the fact that somebody can find a security issue within some of either Microsoft software or other types of software that planes use, and they could write code in to exploit that security issue in order to bring a plane down. Also, another example that they brought up in the All In podcast was that somebody could use this technology in order to create millions of websites. Let's say, I shouldn't use a name. Let's say big bank website, right? Pick your big bank that's out there and send, information to people, create a phishing. What they call phishing is like when you think you're going to like the legitimate bank website and you put in your name and your password. And let's say you may not have two-factor auth right now, or you may have two-factor auth and it could also get your, what do you call it? Get access to your cell phone as well. And it could not only drain your account, but it could drain the accounts of millions of depositors. These are the things that the higher ups in this AI game are really concerned about. Because it's not just one company. So ChatGPT is one company owned by OpenAI, but there are other companies that have access to the GPT-4 and like beyond information. Like, for example, the way that I understand it is it's just like saying you could use Google, you could use Bing, you could use, I don't know, what other search engines are there out there? You could use Yahoo, you could use Brave, you could use all sorts of search engines. Well, with GPT, you don't just have to use Open AI. You could use a lot. Well, not a lot. There are several because it's so contained right now, right? You could use several of these GPT portals in order to ask it to do all sorts of craziness. Yeah, Chrome, Edge, Firefox. Yeah, you all understand what I'm saying. I haven't heard of Opera before, but yeah, you all understand what I'm saying. So the industry is coming together now saying, hold up, wait a second. We've created this great technology, but regulators, the government, would take forever to catch up with this. We need to self-regulate. And the guys in the All In podcast had a very lively debate about this because one of the guys was like, yeah, but it's against the law to bring down a plane. And the other three were looking at him like, yeah, but if we know that this is a possibility now, why would we want to wait for the person to bring down the plane and then prosecute them? So he was a little ticky for me, right? And I will show you all of this, but it's like literally a 40-minute exchange that they have going as they're talking about this as an issue. But Um, if we wait for the US government to catch up with the technologies, bad things can happen. So either the industry is going to regulate itself, or the higher ups in the industry are going to ask the government to regulate it. So that should be interesting. One of the cons that came up during their exchange with regards to this is that they are concerned that if the US government gets involved with the regulation, that it could impede American innovation, because other countries will not have these types of constraints on them. And what they're suggesting is that anytime somebody is building something, it needs to go through what they call a sandbox, or like a pretend session, to just make sure that their person is not doing anything nefarious with their code. So, but they're saying, "Well, yeah, but you could go to Russia, or you could go to India, or you could go to any of these other places, and they don't have these constraints, and therefore it's going to hurt American ingenuity." So those are the pros and the cons that they have talked about. But yeah. So the final thing I want to talk about, and then I'll come to all of your comments here, and then we'll head out, is who's going to make money from this, right? Because y'all know we are Black women making money. Don't forget to like the video, everybody. Make sure you've liked the video as you're coming in. Number one, OpenAI, Microsoft, Elon Musk, Amazon now has its own AI. Like, all the big boys are looking at how they're going to pimp out AI, right? Let's just be honest. Those who have access, to the actual data and how it's going to work and spit out information to you, are going to make money from this. Also, any of us, and we can do this as well, that create APIs where, for example, Jasper.ai is like a software that uses API in order to help people write blogs, right? I'm talking about coming up with something. I'll put it out there, because if y'all do it, then that's fine. But I'm talking about coming up with something where people can write a business plan within an hour that could be presented to the SBA for funding. So I just, if I can find a CTO that's willing to do it for me and with me, then I probably would do something like that. There's going to be all sorts of people making money from taking the technology and and creating APIs with it. Uh, Other ways that people are going to make money from doing these things, I think that teaching and instructing people, keeping people up to date with regard, and more so companies up to date with regards to AI and how it can be used within certain companies, both big, mid-size, and small. I think people are going to make big money with that. And if you think you don't know anything, nobody knows anything. So you could literally start your AI channel on YouTube and start posting a couple of times a week. Hey, here's the latest news. Here's what's happening. You start building up an email list, especially if you do it for an industry like accounting, for example, or nursing or something like that. You might end up getting like a lot of consulting jobs and things like that. So that's, another way that people will make money. You can make money by using AI to complement what you're doing in the workplace as well. Secure your job, talking with your job about, hey, let me be on the exploratory committee for how we can use all of this AI in order to defend ourselves against the single person who can build $1 billion company and have just 7 people working in it and make as much money as we do, right? You can be somebody who fact checks AI. This is my understanding right now, based on the articles that I've read, that AI still needs to be fact checked. So you can be a fact checker. And always remember that AI does not have soft skills. So if you're an industry that requires soft skills, or if you're a person that can put yourself in a job or in a position that requires soft skills, Mentor Shelley is in the building. Hello. She knows about the soft skills. So yeah, look, That is how you can make money and set yourself apart. That is how. So, those were the suggestions that I had for you. There's a lot that's happening here. As I'm hearing things, I'll definitely let you know. But we're going to read a few more of these comments. And I'll admit I'm tired, so we may not be doing Rich Girl Summer tonight. This was a lot. This was a lot. Let's see here. You're saying this is scary. I think that I read this already. Yes, it is. Already AI girl boyfriends and attempting AI for doctors and therapists. Yeah, they're doing it already. Hey, Blessed, how you doing? Um, or you call it Chaos GPT? Are you saying that's what a name? Yeah. Ooh, wee. Yeah, D'Ambrosia. It's going to be interesting. Be ready. It's bad in the hands of antisocial people. Yeah. Some of these cray people online, especially in the Black part of social media. I don't want to say any more, but yeah. Um, like deep fake. Yeah. The deep fake images, but at least with the deep fake images, they cannot hurt people. I mean, it could hurt someone's reputation, or if the wrong person thinks the deep fake photo is or video is real, then it could hurt somebody if they try to retaliate. But people can do more sinister stuff. Yeah. Imagine deep fake on steroids. Yeah. Um, I think Italy banned ChatGPT. I didn't hear that, but you probably know more about that true mystique than I do. So realistically speaking, there won't be a pause. We just need to learn how to grow with AI. I don't know if the top people are calling for it. We'll see what happens. I don't think it'll. So, what they said was that they're not looking to pause ChatGPT or GPT-4. They're looking to pause the release of anything above GPT-4 until they can get standards together, because the stuff that's beyond GPT-4 is the stuff that can get people seriously hurt. Um, Not just antisocials, but people will be less inclined to learn to be agreeable, and yeah, might be more narcissists. That's right. Um, Sometimes I wonder what's the point with putting yourself out there on social media with deepfakes available. Yeah. Thing is, people are too quick to jump on things instead of calmly looking things over. Yeah. A human caused Eli Lilly to lose money. That is absolutely correct. A glitch caused people to be short on their accounts. That is correct too. People freak out if they lose electric after a day or two. I'm concerned about our behavior during these transitions. Yeah, it's you have to keep your eyes open. AI can show our imperfections and multiply it. Yeah. The FAA outage in January, you're absolutely right. And now multiply that by a lot more people being able to do that. And the train derailments are a problem as well. You're absolutely right. People need to use the software to think for them and do all the work for them. That's not what it should be used for. Well, they're going to be using it for that. We can't control bots right now. Guess we'll use AI to fight AI. Possibly. Let's see here. The government is making multi-factor authentication priority number one. Identity access management is my major priority placed on the banks. Good. I think they need to work with the people in AI in order to make sure that it can't be, they probably already are, that it can't be compromised. It shouldn't have been open to the public. No, they wanted to show off what they were doing and they had to make their money back. I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I think they're letting the masses use it for free to train it to a certain point, and then when they're done, they're going to shut it down. That's possible. Not proven as of yet, just my guess. It's possible. Uh, we still haven't dealt with bad data in simpler things like credit reporting. Government doesn't care to do well since they're not really held accountable. That's the truth. They are definitely using the public's input criteria to grow its data. That is true. And to learn from us, to learn how we think. I'm guessing it's meant to be trained and used against us, kind of like TikTok. Uh, Did you all hear AOC is like, yay, TikTok. Now, I don't know. TikTok may not be banned. I think they found a couple of cheap representatives and senators to buy off. So everything must go through Sandbox, improve its quality before entering the production environment. Yeah. Um, I started working on H Educate's tutorial and got stuck on the API response. I'll need to figure it out with JavaScript or Java. I really like H Educate's information. So, um, anyone know where I can meet people when I really don't know anyone and work for my family business? Try Meetup. Try Meetup and Eventbrite. It's the best place to start. Black women place ourselves to be in a position to facilitate between business and technology. We excel in this area. Yes, we do. That's a great, great comment. Let's see here. All these low-paying customer service jobs are about to be replaced. Yes, they are. Not only can be replaced, they're going to be replaced. If you're working in customer service, God help you. Let's see here. They use AI voice mimicking to attempt to extort money from this lady by pretending they kidnapped her daughter. Wow. That story is scary. Yeah. Look, if they can put a script in and say rap this like Kanye, and people have been playing that, then yeah, they could, because they have not all of our voices, but a lot of our voices between YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you have enough content out there, they can basically take your information, just like they did with Joe Rogan, and pretend that he was having a conversation with Trump. So this does not surprise me at all. So this is where I was saying one of the things that people are going to be able to do to make money is to be able to fact check the AI. Like something like this is probably, there's going to be somebody who makes money figuring out how to fact check for things like this. So yeah, I don't need TikTok to be banned so long as I don't have to use it. Yeah, yeah, I'm not on it either. Okay, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this evening. Don't forget, Sunday at 6 p.m., we are going to have an insider circle discussion. You have to be on my email list to get an invite, bwmakingmoney.com. It is free to come. I'm not charging you to get on my email list, but I'm going to show a documentary and we're going to talk about it. So, copyright sensitive stuff. I just want to do it behind. I don't want to call it behind a paywall because you're not paying for it, but just behind YouTube. So, and also, if you're listening to the replay of this, please put replay in the comments so that way the YouTube can bless us. Also, put in Rich Girl Summer as well, Rich Girl Summer, because that is our theme. I was going to do the Rich Girl Summer discussion today, but your girl is tired. So I'm going to have to do it next week for you ladies. It's going to be on Google Meet. It's going to be on Google Meet. So as long as you send me try to sign up tonight. So that way, when the email goes out tomorrow, you'll have it, but it's just Google Meet. So you can get it from your phone or your laptop or your desktop. So, Rich Girl Summer. Hey, Selfish Love. I talked about you tonight with regards to the accounting and the AI. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am going to rest well. I actually am watching the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. I fell asleep during the second episode last night, so I got to rewatch the second episode and see what these horrible girls are up to. So thank you so much. I'm gonna get some rest, and I will see you all, if not tomorrow, then on Sunday. Take care. Bye.